Hi, I'm Vern Sanders, and this is 52 Anthems, and this particular tape is for the director. And today we're talking about Be Still My Soul, arranged by Dan Bird and published by Fred Bock Music Company. As I said in the executive summary, this is a piece everybody knows, and it's fairly simple. So don't let familiarity breed contempt. You as the director need to make it clear that the choir shouldn't be singing just like it was a hymn out of the hymnal. This is a piece of art music. It's a piece of choral music, and it needs to be shaped accordingly. It needs to be treated accordingly. So work them to get the art out of the music and not just sing it as if it was a hymn out of the hymnal. Let me talk about each one of the verses. The first verse is unmetered, and that is going to be difficult for some of your singers. They won't know when to enter, and so you're going to have to be able to cue them without making it too square, because the whole idea is that this feels like chant. Dan is thinking chant, Gregorian chant, and so as a result, it needs to be more liquid. I would make all of your gestures round, not angular. Beat one if you can in these unmetered things, so that beat each grouping of twos and threes as one, as opposed to doing like this. Because if you beat like this, you're going to get angular back, and you really don't want that. And so let the text in the first verse be your guide. Dan and the publisher have put in dashed lines to do these groupings, but let the text be your guide. And just really let them sing lyrically. I would even probably rehearse this a cappella. We'll talk about that more when we get to the rehearsal tape. The second verse is unison, and it's got big chords in the piano, which is why I recommend you use the piano rather than the organ. So you need to beef up the tone. This needs to be a big tone. Not Wagnerian necessarily, but a romantic tone, and let them sing. And you need to seize the room with the tone, because otherwise they're going to fade in the background, and your player will not be able to play those chords with the emphasis and with the sturdiness and with the playing into the keys the way that you really want to have happen. In this verse, you want to really watch out for the long-held notes, to guide the future. And so you want to make sure that something happens on that long-held note so that it doesn't sound awkward, and that the tone and the music moves forward. Just because it's a held note, if it's in the middle of the word, the syllables in the middle of the word, it doesn't mean they can sit on it. You're going to have to make sure that that is musical. Okay. The third verse now goes to pairs of octaves. So sopranos and tenors singing the same thing, altos and basses singing the same thing. And the trick here is that you've had the whole choir singing unison in the second verse and with this big sound. Now all of a sudden you're dividing it essentially in half, because there are two parts. Actually there's four, but there's two doubled parts. And so what you want to make sure that the intensity doesn't wane by the division of the number of voice parts. So you can approach this two ways. You can not do the second verse quite as loud, or my preference would be to save something so that have something in reserve for the third verse. You want to do the second verse as if it's the most important verse, and then there's more to come. Okay, the last thing is, at the end, you want to milk this. All of a sudden it goes into this kind of ethereal ending, much like the beginning. And remember, there's an oboe obbligato here. And the oboe wants to be heard, and you're going to want to make the balance between the oboe and the choir and the keyboard work. So be listening for that, and make sure that, and actually you can let the oboe help the singers by the way that the oboe plays their line in the intro. But at the end, you really want to milk the ending. Let it play out. Let it get quiet. And in fact, I would let it get as quiet as you can. And the men sing "Be Still" and the women sing "Be Still," and then there's this final "Be Still" on a big fat chord. Well, these can be sort of off in the distance, echo, almost heard kinds of things. You can really do a lot of dramatic things here at the end that might not be possible in the body of the anthem. So again, this is a great piece, and there's not going to be a whole lot of rehearsal difficulties here, but you're going to want to be able to make sure that it sounds like a piece of music, not just somebody singing the hymn. So, once again, "Be Still My Soul," arranged by Dan Bird on the Finlandia tune, published by Fred Bock Music Company. Thanks.